Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope you all are doing well. Let's take a look and see what's going on with Bitcoin. So, getting the drop, right? Getting that additional drop down, still ranging within the 78K range for the most part. We did drop a little bit lower today. It was around 77,870. So, but we're still staying within the 78K range. Very, very strong range to stay in, right? Very strong support range here. Basically, 78,114 is acting as very strong support for right now. Whether or not that's going to hold and we're going to close above it on some of these bigger time frames is still a question up in the air. Um, I am still not going to be shorting. I know that it kind of sounds counterintuitive as of right now, but like I told you guys, and I mentioned it many times, we're staying above the weekly open. We're staying above Monday midnight open. It's Wednesday this week already. There's a few things that I'm seeing that is telling me not to short this market just yet. Personally, even though you could have made some money, right, off of shorting like this top, for example, it's just too high risk for me to want to do that just yet. I have to basically, for me, and I know that Zen Master JP has talked about the 76,000-ish area, I believe. But for me, I'm going to even go lower than that and say that I'm not comfortable shorting even until we breach 74.5-ish area. Once we get down and even possibly into, the low 74K range, that's when I'll be like, okay, there is a good chance that we're not going to get a recovery. But 74.5 to 75K we know has a lot of liquidity. And up until then, and until we breach 78,000, that is, I'm not going to be opening any macro shorts. And I'm talking about, there's a possibility I could do some intraday shorting, even down to this level if we do lose 78K. But, honestly, until we breach 74.5 to 75K, I don't see us getting, way down here. Especially, you got to think we're going to be almost getting that golden cross as well. So it's just not, to me, it's not the time to worry about shorting just yet. Taking a look at your 12-hour, again, kind of getting that rounded top. You are holding this support for right now. We'll see if we can still close above it by the end of the day. 8-hour, obviously also showing that rounded top. I was thinking that we were kind of in this rising wedge pattern. Obviously, we are breaking out of it for right now. I know that on the smaller time frames, we already broke out of it. But let's see if the bigger time frames we can flip it, right? Let's see if we can get back into the pattern. That's going to be your bullish case scenario. 6-hour, you're basically almost just using the 21 as support there. 4-hour, you are trading underneath the 21 now. Let's see if we can flip that again. But yeah, I mean, I'm just, I can see us running out this double bottom, sure. Taking this out, maybe hitting weekly open down at 77,710. That's fine. But I don't see us, really doing too much else. Let's take a look and see what a bullish 786 retracement would be right here. Yeah, so I mean that's hitting basically your, like I said, your weekly open right there. So your bullish 786 retracement from the local impulse is going to be basically hitting your weekly open right around 77,710. All right, taking a look at the 2-hour, getting the rollover, head and shoulders, kind of a complex head and shoulders with multiple shoulders. Same with the 1-hour as well. 15-minute not looking great. You're staying below the 21. It's just that you're not able to breach the 78, 114. Basically that's going to be your support line right there. 5-minute, looking halfway decent. I don't know, guys. I'm in a bigger long right now. I'm slowly adding to it. It's kind of a ladder long, and I'm just gonna keep doing that. I'm not really trading anything else. I don't think that there's any opportunity for scalping as of right now. Um, I yeah, I this is just it's very choppy price action this week. Not really a lot of opportunity to make a lot of money this week. Unless you caught some, basically some other moves, like for example, this move up here would have been your main opportunity. Same with this one, but now that Wednesday and Thursday are coming along, there's just not a lot of opportunity. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what levels that we're watching here for right now. So obviously 78,114 is going to be a very critical level for you to watch. Weekly open at 77,710. You lose that, you can basically, talk about 77,421 and 76,975. All of these yellow lines are still very valid, right, for the move down. Yellow and blue, and then obviously these order blocks are still very valid as well to see if we can maybe get into this area. Now to the upside, 78,751 obviously has been known to be an area of overhead resistance and very strong overhead resistance at that. So look for that line to be your first area of overhead resistance, and then followed by 80,491, as we know is going to be your next area around 80,005. Followed by 81,608, which would basically that measured move from the breakout. I'm probably going to get rid of this one because we know that we are not breaking out of that descent, or that basically that falling wedge. It just kind of fell through for the most part right now. So 80,491, and then if you get above there, you're looking at 82,429. All right, let's go ahead and take a real quick look at our liquidity, see what's happening there. So let's drop into the 4-hour. So 4-hour looks like it's going to head down into here, right? 4-hour looks like it's going to head into the 76-ish range, maybe even down to the 74.5-ish like we always talk about. I'm still going to be targeting that 74.5 to 75K area if we were to get the follow through down. Not that it's going to happen, but just be aware that it definitely could. Now, at any given time, though, this is what's been sketching me out, is we can get a bounce before, or maybe we just barely tap this liquidity, get the bounce, and then we start coming up into here, maybe taking out this double top up here. So that is one thing that is kind of on my radar, right? I am being cognizantly aware of the fact that, and that's another reason why I don't want to short, is because we are getting that slow grind down, but at any given moment we could reverse, right? Because you have to keep in mind that we are still in very much so an uptrend, in my opinion, on the macro. So to me, that for that reason alone, I'm not looking to short like the daily or the 3-day or anything like that. You definitely could, but just know that it is extremely high risk and low probability for you to get that real big follow through to the downside, for right now at least. Taking a look at the 1-hour. So the 1-hour kind of still honestly, I still see that Bart Simpson, unfortunately. You do have some liquidity right here, right around 77.7-ish area. That's going to probably be a very strong area of support, the 777s that usually is. So if you get down into 77,700-ish area, just know that that's a potential that's going to be a strong area of support. You have a little bit on the 100x down to 77.7 once again. 50x shows some green area down there. You could potentially get the follow through, even all the way down to 75K-ish area. I don't see it happening as of right now, but I definitely think the 77,700 could happen today for sure. Let's take a real quick look at the 15-minute before we move on to our order book. So these red areas, right? That's going to be 77.7. That could be a decent area to long. Just keep that in mind. You don't necessarily, have to do that. It's going to be extremely high risk because of today. But if you were to long this, I would say, even if you put your stop maybe into the 76K-ish region, maybe, give yourself $1,000 stop, that could provide, a potential bounce. Now, don't take my word for it. Again, not financial advice. But if you are going to long this, right, in this region, I would say put your stop down below this pool in general, okay? I know that, a lot of people like to use tight stops. I personally do not. I like to use a very wide range stop, especially if I'm playing like the macro or the meso timeframes. I personally would not put a stop anywhere near here, okay? Just to make sure that you're not going to get taken out. You can still definitely get taken out, but it's a lot safer of a probability to basically put your stop in this area down here, where there's no liquidity at all that's actually concentrated. That also, we can move over to the order book now. That also would imply that you're putting it below a lot of, these orders right here, right? So if let's say, for example, you put your stop around 76,700-ish area, that gives you all of these yellow orders in front of it that can basically act as support, right? So it is, yes, it's not going to give you the best risk reward ratio unless you really drive that up. So for example, let's see if I can find it here. So your long position, let's say that you entered right around 77,700, right? I'm telling you to put your stop somewhere down here. So you'd have to take this up, a decent amount, probably, I would say even to 76,9,609, that's going to be your first area. That's a bearish 786. But you could take this all the way up to, potentially the top of this this pool right here, right, which is 80,478, around 80,005. That also is a potential. You're almost at a 3 to 1 there if you were to do that. So, pool for pool, basically, right? I would say, this would be one of your more safer trades, right? Putting this stop all the way down here below the remainder of this pool and then riding it all the way up. You don't have to fully take profit all the way up here. I would say maybe you want to front run it to 79.6 because that's a bearish 786 retracement. But just keep that in mind that is a potential. All right, taking a look now even further at the order book, you can see that you have all these orders here. As of right now, it looks like 77.5-ish area is going to act as strong support. Whether or not we get down there is a bigger question. But you also do have another order at 77.375 followed by 77,000. Now, to the upside, this order did get pulled at 79,123, so that's probably why we've just been slowly kind of grinding down. You do have some strong resistance, so it looks like right around 79.5 to 79.7. So staying within basically a $2,000 range that you have basically a resistance level at 79.5 to 79.7. And then down below, you have a support level between 77.5 and 77.575. All right, let's take a real quick look at our simple map, see what's happening there. So taking a real quick look at the simple map, let's see here. This is our swing, my apologies. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the scalping timeframes first. All right, so you're gonna first look for, to the downside, you're gonna look for 77,760 to be strong support. Again, those 777s like I mentioned. Now, the only problem is if you lose this, you can basically fall through all the way to about 76.5 to 76,470. So it's going to be extremely crucial for us to keep 77,700 as a strong area of support. Now, to the upside, you're going to be looking probably right around 78,630. If you're able to get above there, you can basically get a follow through to about 79,230, and then followed by, a slow grind up 79,380 to about 79,560. Now, if you get above 79,560, it looks like you can basically get the follow through all the way to maybe about 80,000 to 80,160. So definitely a lot more resistance areas to the upside, but if you can get above some key levels, right, some key areas, you can get that follow through. All right, now when you're taking a look at the swing time frame, let's see what we got going on here. So to the downside, you're looking at 77,760 once again as a crucial support level. If you lose that, you're going to be dropping down into 76,600-ish area to 76,470. And then to the upside, if you can get above, looks like 78,720, you can basically get that follow through, keep moving up to about 79,260, then to 79,380, and then finally to 79,560. And then from there, you can get into the 80,000 range like we mentioned. All right, guys, that is what I have for you this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe trading day. Again, this is a lot of chop. Don't overdo it with your risk, right? There's not a lot of opportunity as of right now. We're not really getting outside of a range. I mean, we finally dropped below the 78K range, but we're not seeing too much yet. There's not really a lot of opportunity unless you're having a huge position size. You're very high risked. You're probably not going to be able to make too much money as of right now. All right, guys, so that is what I have for you for this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all this evening. Take care.